Hello, everybody, and welcome to another brand new episode. The slightly stressed out episode.
We've started off air, we've started very stressed out.
Oh,
Let's
my
see if we
God.
carry it onto the air.
I'm definitely... Oh, for fuck's sake. Well, there goes our demonetization. I am dealing with all sorts of bullshit today. My microphone is knocking... Because we're doing this remotely because it's a coronavirus time, my microphone is knocking the laptop that I'm talking to Sam on. My AirPods don't connect to my MacBook. And I'm like, why? Why? These are both Apple products. They're both even the same type of product. Why are they not connecting?
I'm just going to say it, and I'm a big Apple fan, I'm a big Apple user, but I think Apple is going down the pan. Apple is only getting worse.
I don't know. I'm really impressed with these headphones. And normally they work nicely. But I'm like, the reason I have Apple is because I don't want to be fair, I have Windows as well. Like my main editing computer is a Windows machine. And it's got so much bullshit on it that I have to deal with all the time. Like, oh, hey, we've just decided to crash for no reason in the middle of your work, which is something you rarely have to deal with Apple. And yeah, no, so when it doesn't work, and also when you pay twice as much for all of their crap, you want it to kind of be better.
I think that's the key, isn't it? I think Apple comes with the price tag, so you expect it to just be flawless, and it so often is not. It so often is not. I'm sure I told you about getting locked out my iPhone that time with all my important pictures on it. Oh,
yeah, no, and, that would turn me off it for life, though.
Exactly. I'm never buying an iPhone again. This is it. Done. Finished.
Yeah. Wait, you have an iPhone, though?
I've got an iPhone.
I'm done with it. I felt the same thing after, and also now I keep hearing it in my headphones. That for some reason the power, it's just go. The power on the laptop is just going off and on like boop 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 boop. As soon as this little cable bashes against it, because it's the laptop's 2 years old. It's a MacBook Pro. It's expensive. It's supposed to be good, and one of the USB ports is dodgy. It's been 2 years, Apple. It's been 2 years. This isn't good enough.
To be honest, I've got to be fair to Apple that my MacBook Air is 5 years old and works like new. It's like a brand new computer. So I can't fault the MacBook Air too much.
That goes well with your thesis of it getting a bit shit recently.
No, what I mean is that Apple never got better after Steve Jobs. Like I just think after Steve Jobs, it's all just gone downhill. They just create new charger adapters, new bullshitty applications that do nothing, but they don't actually work on their product. That's my issue.
I'm not sure I agree with you fully, but I agree mostly. I mean, there's not... the Apple Watch came afterwards, right? And that's quite an innovation. The iPad? No, Steve Jobs led the iPad, didn't he?
Steve Jobs was the iPad, yeah.
Yeah.
I think, like you say, the Apple Watch is the only thing really to have come in since his passing, which has been
Which is a long time ago. This is nearly 10 years ago, isn't it?
Yeah, it must be now.
Did he die in 2011? Is that right?
I was still in school when he died, so I remember people were reading his autobiography when I was leaving school. So yeah, it must have been 2011, 2010.
Wow, that's a great book, by the way. Walter Isaacson's Steve Jobs book. I really like that. I thought you said you were reading it. You read it at school.
No, everyone read it at school. I didn't read it at school.
Oh. So Sam, tell me. I got some things I want to talk about. I got some subjects. I got some updates. I want to just update on this hack, although this will be out of date, because for those of you who didn't see our episode last week or whenever it went out, I'm so confused. And dude, my life has been... I sound a bit stressed out this week, and I have to say it is because I'm a little bit stressed out. Everything's kind of been a bit of a mess this last week. And I still, the hackers managed... We got them kicked out of the Top 10s account, which is great, but I still don't have admin access. So it still looks like crap. All of the videos that I scheduled ahead of time are now going out, and they don't have thumbnails, they don't have updated descriptions. It's a bit of a a bit of a clusterfuck, to be honest.
That's not good, but then if you don't have admin access, who does have admin access?
No, well, this morning, my partner, who I run the channel with, he got access because he started the channel like 10 years ago before I even came on, because the channel was like, he started it when he started the complimentary website that goes along with it, or more, the YouTube channel was complimentary to the website he started, and then I came in to do the videos on the YouTube channel, so he's the like primary email address on it. So this morning it was restored to him, and so I'm just waiting for him to give me admin access so I can actually go in and fix all the stuff that's gone wrong.
Thank God for that. At least you've got access. That's a relief. I was really worried for you. I was kind of trying to keep a stony face to not let you panic. But that was on my side. I was like worried for you with that. But it seems like you've got stuff under control. You put your best foot forward and.
I wasn't worried about it. I was more just like, we need to get this done. Like, I was a bit annoyed at the delay because I felt this was important. But yeah, so steps in the right direction. Progress is being made. Anyone who is listening to this, watching this, and is like, what are you talking about? Well, it got hacked. And anyone who's like, thank you for the update, I'm like, I apologize for all of the confusion and mess that was. Yeah. Good news, though. My Mega Projects channel is doing well, dude.
Yeah?
I launched it like a week and a half ago as of this airing. The episodes already have done 3 episodes so far. I'll do another couple this week. They're already getting like 50,000 views a pop.
What? No.
Dude, really? Mega Projects is a good choice. Like, I was like, I think this will do well.
Great, well done.
But I didn't think it would do that well.
Have you got a name for your following? You know, celebrities have like
yeah, of course, dude.
Who are they?
They're my legends. No, they're my legends.
My legends.
Yeah. And then you can use all sorts of extra things around them, like absolute legends, or turbo legends, mega legends, raid shadow legends. There's so many options.
I suppose you could tailor them to your channels. You could have the Today I Found Legends and the top legends.
That's true. To be fair, I only have it for business plays, really, because that's like the one where it's more fun, it's more entertainment than it is education. So it's like, I don't know, it was more natural on that. And it just came about because I started calling anyone who watched the end of the video a legend, because that's what matters, you know, getting that watch time. So as you say, you're a legend if you watch the end of the video. And everyone just started commenting that I am legend in the comments. So I was like, okay, legends, it is done. What are you going to call your crew? Because you're starting a channel, for those of you who missed last week's episode. And how's that going? I want updates.
Yeah, since last week, there's not been massive progress, I have to be honest. But there was a few other priorities came in. Obviously, it was Easter here, so it was not it was a family time.
What, you're going out partying, seeing your family?
No.
This is recorded during the Corona time.
Yeah, okay, that's true, but it was a time of turning everything off. Everything was switched off, so I didn't get much done this weekend. But I want to try and kind of get back onto it this next coming week and really kind of get 3-4 episodes recorded. So I got a good 10 episodes, then I can start releasing them. That's kind of the plan. But I took your words seriously, and I'm trying to think of a hook, or whether I even want it to be for adults. Maybe it's better for it to be for kids.
Dude, kids channels, I mean...
Richest YouTuber in the world is a kid that tries toys, isn't it?
Ryan's Toys Review, yeah. I'm not sure if he is anymore, but if he isn't, it's definitely going to be some guy, girl, kid who makes kids content. Because, dude, the views are insane. The views are actually insane. They will say, like, just start a Minecraft channel and you're flying. Like, and people just watch thousands of hours of Minecraft. No, this is different. Like, with the kids, because no one watches a Minecraft video twice. I mean, maybe someone does. But, dude, kids, it's like, it's crazy, you know? Because they'll be like, it's my favorite video. And it's like, what? So you just watch it like 17,000 times? I was going to say 7. And then that was too low. So I turned it into 17, and that was too low. So I just said thousands because, dude, the kids will just watch it over and over and over again. It can't be Ryan's Toys Reviews the biggest anymore, because there was one I read about on Tube Filter, and they were saying that they were getting 3.5 billion views a month.
What?
3.5 billion views a month. Bear in mind, I have something like 1 point something across all my channels ever.
That's a lot. Wow.
Yes, it is an extraordinary, like, even the biggest channels in the world, like PewDiePie will get like 200, 300 million.
What,
You know, David Dobrik will get 200 to 300 million a month. And this random kids channel that you've never heard of will be just crushing in 3.5 bill.
Can you imagine if you were the one to review the fidget spinner first? Can you imagine? Oh,
dude, it's still that's still not as good
as what?
As being the 3.5 a month, because it's not about one thing. It's just about the whole holistic view of the channel and having so many videos that are being watched so many times. One hit wonders, like viral videos, like I had a really interesting one. In the YouTube dashboard, it tells you who are your subscribers, right? You know, as in the creator dashboard. And it'll say like, you know, these people and you know, it's ranked by number of subscribers. So I saw a dude subscribe to me with like 600,000 subscribers. So I was like, holy shit. Okay. Let's jump over to them, see what they're about. And it's just one video. They've got 5 videos on their channel, but one of their videos has 200 million views. And it's, and so this guy obviously had like one viral video like a couple of years ago, and based off that 200 million views got 600,000 subscribers. But it's like, so that 200 million views is a payday, is an absolute payday.
Yeah.
Like you're buying a house sort of payday.
Let's hope that he monetized it.
Yeah.
Like it's very possible he didn't monetize it. Like that's,
it is. It's totally, because I mean, it takes like 2 weeks to get monetized.
Yeah, you have to have a certain, like a minimum view count and all that sort of like like count and everything, don't you, to get your first monetization.
Dude, once you get there, you still got to, like, this guy would have done it if the video is going viral. It'd be like, okay, 5 minutes. But then you got to click apply to be in the monetization program, and YouTube will take like 2 weeks to process it. I guess if your video is getting like a 10 mil views a day, you could probably be like, please help me.
My little brother's jumped on the TikTok train, and he
really?
He went viral the other day. It was
what?
quite fun. Yeah, he made this funny video, and it's like he's what is he, 16? He's like sort of like immature kind of teenage videos, but they're really funny.
Oh, tell me what the video is.
Oh well, it's quite rude, but it's.
Dude, you've heard how many times I've sworn already this podcast, right? It's okay.
True. He uses basically that funny adaptation that makes your nose go really big, and then he pretends to be a mum in bed, and then a child comes in and goes, "Mum, I've just learned a new word. What's the new word?" And then it cuts off, and it's quite fun. It's just typical like TikTok kind of banter, TikTok kind of joke.
Wait, what's the word supposed to be? Oh, the C word.
I can't say that. That's the C word. But no, and
wait. So what does going viral on TikTok entail?
Well, I don't know, but he had in 3 days, I think, 100,000 views on it. So it was like that's quite significant. That's a lot of people seeing your video.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, and he's trying to follow it up. He did quite a funny one the other day, but none of them have quite had the success of that first one. So I think it's amazing how many people do have one hit wonders, and then they try and. Like who was the guy? There was the rainbow guy. Do you remember the guy that cried at the rainbow?
Dude,
the Hawaiian
double
dude?
rainbow. Oh
Double
my
rainbow.
god, this is so good.
And he tried for years to bring something as good as that, and he couldn't do it. He just couldn't do it.
I feel like I heard an interview with Double Rainbow guy somewhere, like maybe last year or something. All about like this going viral and all of this, or maybe it was with one of the guys. Nah, you know who it was with? It was with that channel that do the musical remixes of viral videos and stuff, and did the Double Rainbow song. Dude, it's so good. Anyway, that's what's been going on with me, and you as well.
And me. There's nothing new. Literally nothing new. Been locked in a house.
You had a good Easter.
I had a lovely Easter. I did have a lovely Easter. And I don't know about other people around the world, but this country's supposed to be opening up in the next month, which is fantastic news. So I don't know if you heard about this. Everything's opening up by the 25th of May, so fantastic.
Yeah, but gradually until then, 25th of May. But also, that's a really far out date. And if they start loosening things up and then the number of infections go up, they're going to be like, well, we're going to postpone that. So...
Yeah, I'm not sure whether I need a haircut or whether I should just let it grow out during this time of confinement. This is I've not had a haircut in like 4 months, so I'm
let it go wild, man.
I will. I think I might do an
Blame it on
old-fashioned
Corona.
You had long hair once, didn't you?
Oh, dude, I had long hair until I went bald. Like I always had long hair since I was maybe 15 or 16. Like before then, I had like the classic,
How long? Shoulders?
No, we had to have it off the collar for school, but
okay.
So it would be like just off the collar. So down to here.
You're pushing barriers, pushing the limits.
Yeah, and then I didn't really take it any further than that. But I mean, long hair for a dude, not short hair for a woman, if you know what I mean. Or like, if that makes sense. Yeah, okay.
That's a good scale. I like that.
I want to talk about, let's do some stories. I've got some interesting ones. My printer ran out of paper, so I'm using my iPad today. And being environmentally friendly. I even got a program that lets me annotate PDFs like they were printed out, which I was like, well, that's pretty cool. Where do you want to start, Sam? You tell me. Do you want to hear about, because these are the topics we've got coming up, probably this episode and next episode, depending on how long we can stretch them out for. Lasers, generic, mystery. That's all I'm going to tell you about it for now. The man who accidentally ejected himself from a fighter jet. That was in the news today. Yeah, and I was like, wow. Should we do that? Let's just jump into that.
Let's just
talk about that. Yeah, I can't resist that, right? Yeah. So let me find this. Yeah, I found this. This was, I don't know, it's just on The Guardian. I think it was on my, because I don't read The Guardian. It was on, the news thing when you swipe left on your phone or whatever to get the news stories. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's basically
news.
There's this dude. By the way, you can take these jet flights, right? You can pay to go up in a plane.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is essentially what happened to this dude. He's 64 years old, and some colleagues of his buy him like a ticket to go up in one of these jet planes and go on like a crazy tour, which, by the way, I would love to do. Where are my notes on this? I found out how much it costs. You can do this. Wait, you're giving me the face like you've done this. Have you done this?
I've not done a jet flight. No, I've done a regular flight, but not a jet flight. I was just going to say this is like any man's dream present. I'd love to be given that.
Dude, it's not. I mean, it's expensive, but it's not nearly as expensive as I thought it would be. It's 1,300 euros for like a 10-minute flight.
If you've been working with someone for 20 years and you're kind of waving them goodbye and you've got a solid team of friends, that's in a workplace, that's 100 euros each, roughly. $70 each.
I don't know. That feels super generous, but also super stingy at the same time, because I'm thinking like, if you're the CEO of the company and this is your, they're buying you a going away present for $1,000, I'll be like, it's a bit tight, isn't it? But then if a big company, but then if you were like John in accounting, who's, just the bookkeeper or whatever, then it'd be like, okay, yeah, that's pretty generous. So I don't really know, because it doesn't really say other than he's 64.
I don't know. My dad worked 20 years for IBM and they gave him a pen. So, and it was a fairly
like a nice
underwhelming
pen?
gift. It was a nice pen. I don't think it was a jet flight kind of pen. I have to be honest.
Okay. I mean, those pens can get up there. Like a nice Mont Blanc pen will. They're expensive. They're really nice. I want one. Not as much as I want a jet flight for $1,500 though, or like 1,300 euros. You can do it here in Czech. This is the one I found. Is down in Brno. Yeah. So you can do it. I'm genuinely thinking I'll probably do it.
Go for it. Why not? Just don't eject yourself, mate.
No, okay, so anyway, this dude, he's 64 years old. Also, the most brilliant thing is, get this from the article, the man had never expressed any desire to fly in a fighter jet and had no previous military aviation experience. The flight had been a gift from colleagues, and the man felt he couldn't refuse. So, I understand, like, everyone needs a pen, but if you've worked for a company for a while, and it's just a gift, right? Let's assume he's leaving, and he's never expressed any interest in aviation or fighter jets, and he's like 64. I mean, that's a pretty shit gift. I mean, it's a nice gift, but it would be if someone like bought me a spa weekend. I'd be like, have I ever expressed an interest in spa weekends?
But would you not enjoy a spa weekend?
No, I don't enjoy spas.
Do you not?
No, I always go because my wife likes them.
You see, I'm kind of the same. I would never choose a spa weekend, but I would enjoy a spa weekend.
Yeah, to be fair, like, I like a sauna and like a jacuzzi, but I hate massage.
What?
I don't like swimming pools.
Mate.
I don't like, that's not true. I like swimming pools. I don't like public swimming pools because I'm a bit of a germaphobe. And like at a spa, at least when it's a private spa, you know, you have like a jacuzzi that's been cleaned and it has fresh water in and stuff. And, you know.
Just quickly, jumping back, what can you possibly not like about a massage?
I don't like people touching me.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't like being touched.
You'd be good with one of those hammams where they scrub you with a brush.
Nah, it's too close to being touched by someone else. Like they're using a device to touch me. I'm also uncomfortable with that. Yeah, no. Just one of those quirks. I'm not a big fan of being touched, yeah. But my wife likes it, so often I'll go. But I don't know, I find it much more relaxing. Like she'll go for a massage. I'll just go sit in a comfortable chair, have a beer, and read a book. And I'm like, that is far more relaxing to me. And that I'll enjoy. So we find our own ways to enjoy it. Because, you know, the spa place, it's always got a bar. Anyway, so, God, we got to start, like, ever since we did that episode where we asked people, what do you like most about the show? Is it facts or banter? And people were like, banter. I was like, well, good, because it's easier than facts.
There's so many avenues opening up. We can just pick and choose our own map. It's like Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, choose your own adventure. Anyway, he gets in this jet, they take off, and very quickly he realizes he's not properly strapped in. I mean, or the straps are too loose. So on the takeoff, he floats out of his chair a little bit because, you know, as the G-forces get weird, you can be like, you know, woo. And so to get himself down back into the seat, he grabs a handle and pulls it to like pull himself back down into the seat. Little does he know that handle is the ejector handle. And they don't say in the article, but in movies and stuff, right? Whenever they're ejecting, you know, this isn't great podcast, but they grab like between their legs and pull up, right? You imagine that handle between the legs. Am I wrong there? And then they push.
Yeah, I think that's about right. Like something out under the chair, like when you pull a safety jacket thing out from under your plane.
Yeah.
Like
but I mean, it's in the plane. It's kind of hidden away, whereas this is like a big handle between your legs that you can pull.
I honestly don't know, but good question.
I didn't look it up because I'm lazy, and yeah, that's all.
Any pilots listen?
Yeah, let us know if that's where the eject handle is, like in the movies. So anyway, he ejects, but for some reason something goes wrong and the pilot doesn't eject as well, because apparently both people eject at the same time. So the canopy's been blown off the fighter jet and the pilot's still in there, and he manages to safely land it. Anyway, so the guy's ejected, the parachute deploys, and he lands, like makes a soft landing, and they take him to hospital to make sure he's okay, because he's old and not many 64-year-olds are going to be ejecting from fighter planes. Anyway, yeah, so basically a ton of stuff went wrong. Like the straps were supposed to be put in properly. Obviously the ejector thing wasn't supposed to, you know, work, because he's the passenger and it's like a commercial flight thing. So you'd think,
So they should really have turned that off, basically.
Yeah, you know, like they should have it, you know, the opposite.
Have it deactivated, yeah.
The opposite of what they have in those cars where you learn to drive. You know, where the driver's got the you've got everything, and then also your driving instructors in the passenger seat also has like a brake, you know, installed. They should have like the opposite of that. So that only the pilot can control it. Yeah. So really, just like a regular car, but then my analogy doesn't work.
Like someone sat in the back.
Yeah, look, they should just be sat in the back, like you're sat in the back of a car. They shouldn't have any controls because it's a fighter jet.
I just think there's so many levels of that where it could have gone far worse. Like, number one, who's liable for destroying the plane? Like, well, because number one, the pilot could have died being ejected into the roof. And I mean, did only half the roof get blown off, or did the whole?
No, the whole roof got blown off. So he's like flying a convertible at like 400 miles an hour.
5G. And then after that, there's right. So he landed. Luckily, he landed. Luckily, there's no skill required to land your ejection pod. I mean, that could have been terrible.
I guess not. Yeah.
Had he have hit a tree? I mean, that could have been a disaster. But then also, I imagine that changes flying a plane at like Mach 3 or Mach 2, whatever it is, to land it without a roof on.
Well, I mean, you're not going to be landing. They weren't flying supersonic speeds, and also you're not going to be landing the plane at like Mach 3. You're going to have slowed it down, otherwise you're not going to have a great time. Coming in for a landing! hell?
You know, I had a friend once who was landing in terrible weather, and they had to do a bounce. I think it's called a bounce, where they come in and they figured out there was an issue. There was like a puddle or something that they were going to skid on, and so they had to land and then jump straight back off and bounce straight back off, go into another loop and then come back in.
I've only seen this in YouTube videos where the planes are trying to make their landings and then they're like at the last minute they abort. Can you imagine how scary that would be? You're like coming in for a landing as a passenger and they're like, no!
I choose
and then
life.
Immediately. Because they have to, this is like, the planes always carry extra fuel in case they have to do this a couple of times. In case they have like there's a crosswind or there's some problem when they're trying to land and they're like, abandon.
Oh, it's petrifying though. Have you ever seen when the planes come in like this? They come in and then last second, because they're going into the crosswind, and last second they just boom and straighten out. It's horrifying, but
it's pretty intense.
It is intense, and it's even scarier when you're doing a small plane. When I was younger, I was an air cadet. I'm sure we've discussed this before.
We've discussed this, yeah.
Yeah, and basically we used to go flying, and you'd come in like this. You'd come in completely sideways because it's a tiny plane and strong crosswinds. Like you have to really fly into the wind, and then you'd be like, this is it. This is how it ends. I'm gonna die. And then last second they'd straighten out the plane, which it's definitely an adventure.
Yeah,
Quite scary the first time you do it. I can
imagine. Have you ever done any of this paramotor stuff?
No, I'd love to.
Oh,
yeah. Amazing.
I recently got recommended a video on my YouTube homepage, and it was just like a guy flies a paramotor to McDonald's. And I was like, yeah, okay, so this video must be getting like attention because it just randomly came up on my homepage, and I was like, this is amazing. And so I looked into these things. You get started for like a few grand and take some lessons, and this is incredible.
I was discussing this with my brother because you can quite easily fly from like London to Paris. Like they've got massive range. They've got they're really cheap to launch, really cheap to land.
You don't
really
even need a
cheap to fly.
pilot's license.
Well, I don't think you do. I think you need a license to fly that thing. But
they're launched by foot. I might have been. I don't know. I just looked it up on Google, so it might be American laws or something. But apparently, because it's just a foot launch thing, like because you run,
it's a kite.
But you don't need. Yeah, it's like you don't need a license for whatever reason.
Wow.
Don't take that as fact, people who are just going to go out and fly their paramotors based on this podcast. I don't know if that's true, but it's what I read.
I mean, I'm sure it comes with its dangers, but I don't think. I think it looks incredibly fun, like Dude. Really fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I love to jump at anything like that. Like if I knew I wasn't going to die and there was an opportunity to do something as incredible as that, I'd be straight on it. That's I will look this up. How are there courses here? Did you look around? See
I did, and there's clubs and stuff. Yeah, I'm pretty into it. Maybe we should do this together.
Let's do it.
Okay, cool. I mean, you can just go and get started, but I definitely want to take like full lessons for a long time. I'd want to do like 20 hours of lessons or something just to be 100% sure that I know what's up.
Isn't that interesting, actually, that 20 hours of lessons is really enough to learn anything? Like basically anything.
You can get like a pilot's license, a private pilot's license,
yeah.
Or like an ultralight license, really easy, like in a short number of hours.
Even like driving, things like that. It's roughly 20 hours. I would say even like musical instruments and things like that. It's roughly 20 hours is the point where you begin to become competent. That's just my sort of like what I've noticed in the past with different skills, different abilities, different licenses that you pick up. They are roughly 20 hours. I
reckon you're right. And so many of these things you pick up, like this. What would it be called? Is it called a bell curve? No. What? How would it be when it's like okay, like it's really easy to get started and learn the basics, and then to master it takes forever. So it's like, if you want to fly a plane, yeah, go take an ultralight pilot's license for like 20 hours, and there you go, you can fly a little plane. But if you want to go and fly like an A380, you're gonna need to go to flight school for like 3 years or something. Yeah.
To get to the, I think Tim Ferriss says it very well. It's very easy to get to the top 1% of anything in the world. Like, not easy, but like it's not particularly hard to get to the top. Top 10%, I think he says. Top 10%. The top 1% is then those, like, sort of elite people. But to get to the top 10% of anything in the world, you just need to really focus down and do roughly 20, 30, 40 hours on it and, like, focus well and head in with a good structure of what you're studying. And you can pretty much get to, like, the top 10% in the world in anything. It's really an incredible methodology, and I think it works, actually. So,
I reckon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even look at YouTube. Like, if I was to sit down and do 20 hours of YouTube, I reckon that gives you content for 7 months.
Yeah, but then, I mean, there's one thing of, like, on YouTube producing the stuff. And then there's one is practice and one is production. So I think, like, if you learned how to do YouTube for 20 hours, you'd know what to do. And if you did YouTube for 20 hours just making videos, you'd just have made a bunch of videos. You know what I mean? There's a difference between learning and production, or practice and production.
I agree, but this is also the same thing that you're saying now. That's the difference between mastery and gaining a skill. Like, so say we were to split 10 hours. So it was 10 hours of making videos and then 10 hours of producing like your channel and getting your thumbnails and everything together. Like,
no, it's not to do with beginner and mastery at all in what I'm trying to get across. I think one is about learning, like, okay, this is the sort of video you need to do, this is how you do a title, this is how you do a thumbnail, and then the rest is implementation. So it's like, okay, go record the videos. It doesn't require any, learning. It's just you do it. You make a thumbnail, you do it. You title a video, you do it. It's like learning versus performance.
Yeah. Agreed, but I reckon if someone sat with you for 20 hours learning how you do what you do,
I could tell them 90% of what I know.
Yeah, effectively, yes. And then you've then kind of taken what you know and you've honed it and become better and better at it. And it's the same with all the athletes. That, like, you can get very good at doing a sport in 20 hours, but then there's
I couldn't.
That 1%.
I definitely couldn't. I am terrible at sports, at all sports.
And then there's that 1% who hone it for the 400 hours, or the 1,000 hours.
Yeah. 10,000 hours. Malcolm Gladwell. Isn't it Malcolm Gladwell with this?
10,000 hour rule, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Although he didn't come up with it. He just wrote a book about it. And then it's also not necessarily true. But that's a whole discussion for another day. Do you want to talk about a different subject? Do you want to do some more facts?
Yeah, let's do facts.
Okay.
What did you have? Lasers, didn't you?
Yeah, but I found something better that I want to talk about. Because I was like, lasers is cool, but it's also like, it's not as good as this one, which I've titled The Ultimate Douchebag.
Oh, wow. Okay, go for it. I want to hear more.
The real title for this piece, this section, is Weird Legal Defenses. Because I think we talked about this before. And I think it came up because I took a note here. These notes are like weeks old. And it was talking about like pleading insanity. Like, I think we talked on a previous episode about how can you get off murder if you say like, no, I was crazy. And then you hear like temporary insanity in the movies and stuff, which I don't think is a thing in UK law. And then we said, in the UK at least, no one really pleads insanity because then it's like they can lock you away in mental prison forever,
Is that true?
Yeah, there's no sentence. It's just like you got to go to the mental hospital until you're sane. And then what happens if they decide that you're not sane? You're there forever. So generally, lawyers will prefer to take a risk on not pursuing a sanity defense, but for an insanity defense, but going for something else. And that something else brings me to the weirdest legal defenses. And some of these are a lot... some of them are fun. I mean, not really, because it's all about people committing generally terrible crimes. But some are more interesting than others. And then there's the ultimate douchebag, which we'll get to later. You'll have that to look forward to. So one of them is the Matrix defense. So a lawyer will argue, or a client, will say, I committed this crime because I believe we're in a simulated reality, like in the movie The Matrix. I don't believe anything is real, so I don't think anything has like consequences. I don't think the person I killed is real, or the crime I committed is in a real thing. So I don't have the mental capacity to have committed the crime. Like, I'm not guilty because I don't have the mens rea part of the crime, which I found interesting. But then again, it shouldn't matter because it's like the simulation's obviously really convincing. So let's just say that, okay, so there's a simulated person you killed. Well, this is also a simulated prison. Have fun.
Do I've always found it really interesting how people, like, when you meet different people, you see like different points of view, and some people's points of view are quite seriously so drastically different from everyone else's. Like some people really seriously believe that we're in a separate dimension or in a matrix or whatever.
I believe we might be. I don't think it's impossible.
Or you think we're a computer program?
I certainly wouldn't discount it as a possibility.
What? No. Really?
It doesn't matter, though.
You're still not going to go around killing people.
No, it doesn't matter because, look, if you're in the Matrix, I'd rather be in the Matrix than woken up from my little bubble thing and have to fight the robots, you know?
You had to pull that thing out of his throat, didn't he? That was gross.
Yeah, dude, that was rough.
Yeah.
But look, I'm happy not to be that. But I think the argument for whether we live in a simulated reality is not an unreasonable one, because the idea is that eventually, you know, just based on the progression that technology will take, is that we'll have machines, we'll have computers that will be capable of simulating incredibly complex environments, eventually so complex that it would be able to replicate consciousness and eventually billions of levels of consciousness and potentially even an entire universe. So the question is, why do we think we're first? If we're going to reach that technological point at some point and create that simulation, surely it's more likely that we're the billionth simulation, because and then, you know, there'll be a simulation within a simulation as that civilization evolves to the point of being able to do that. So I don't necessarily think we're just in a simulation, but I think we could be in a simulation, you know, a billion down.
Can you imagine if, you know how they're always trying to see past the point of the first origin, the point of the Big Bang and everything, and then we just see there's like Ted, the programmer, sat there.
Yeah, just as game over.
He's just playing Sims.
Yeah. Well, I mean, The Sims is an interesting example because then it's like, okay, really, really advanced Sims would be our universe.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what's to say that hasn't happened at some point?
All right, it's a fair point. Fair point.
I don't think it's crazy, in other words. I don't necessarily think it's right. I don't honestly spend that much time thinking about it because it doesn't matter to me. It probably matters to theoretical quantum physicist dudes who are trying to work out how the universe works, and then they'll be like, "Whoa, guys, we're in a computer." and then they'll shut down the simulation. Yeah, because they'll be like, they figured it out again. Shut it down. Yeah, so that's the Matrix defense. How about this one? This is the Twinkie defense. Are you familiar with Twinkies? They're like this American snack.
I like a Twinkie, actually.
I've had it once when I was in the States because I was like, what's that like? Because, I don't know, we don't get it here, at least. There's an American shop that sells them, but,
yeah,
you know.
Well, like, Twinkies aren't a big European thing. Like, Twinkies are a very American... It's like a flag. It's like
it's American as a flag. I remember so specifically when I bought that Twinkie, I also bought an energy drink that had the US Pledge of Allegiance written on the side.
What?
Because I was like, this is the most American thing I've ever seen. So I bought it and I drank it and I felt, you know.
Were you proud to be an American?
Yeah, it felt weird. So the Twinkie defense is basically, there was a dude, these have happened, by the way. They're not just theoretical defenses. These are the things that people have attempted to argue. The Twinkie defense says so a dude killed someone and he blamed it on the fact that he was depressed because he had an unhealthy diet that included Twinkies. And to be fair, I looked into this a little bit. And it wasn't actually, he didn't say the legal defense wasn't Twinkies. It was just based on an unhealthy diet. So he was essentially arguing that I killed someone because I was depressed because I'm a fat bastard. And basically, he actually didn't get sent away for murder. He got sent away for voluntary manslaughter because it was deemed to be adequate provocation. Yeah, which wasn't really... I don't think that's actually related to this defense because he was provoked.
That is an interesting defense, actually, because especially in America where there's not much control on how many chemicals and sort of alterations go into their food, I suppose they are pumped full of antibiotics and pumped full of different chemicals and things which could cause
dude, but when was the last time
like...
you got like an infected toe or whatever, you got put on antibiotics and you were like, better kill people now?
I mean, yeah, no, you're right. You're right, but
it's bullshit defense.
Yeah. I suppose if you have a lot of highs from endorphins or whatever that they put into your food, and then you hit massive lows because you're not getting your Twinkies, is that valid?
No. It
was enough to not give him murder.
I don't know. Maybe, in my opinion, fucking no. You want to do this one? How about this? The Shaggy Defense. Can you guess what this one is?
Scooby-Doo.
No. A different Shaggy. It wasn't me.
It wasn't me.
It wasn't me. So basically, this defense is just like, even in the face of overwhelming evidence, just sticking with it. It wasn't me. So you're on video. Wasn't me. Dude who looks like me. Wasn't me. And just going with it so hard that you're eventually like, jury, wasn't me. 100% wasn't me. And they're like, there's a lot of evidence saying, wasn't me.
And then you get a chorus from the jury. It wasn't me.
And this was actually the defense that this comes from, strangely enough, R. Kelly's defense against all of the nasty, nasty shit that he got up to. Yeah. And I was like, wait, but there was a video. So I was looking this up, and Chris Rock actually has a comedy bit about this, where his whole thing is like, dude, we know what you look like. You're R. Kelly. It's a video. I was just like, oh, man.
R. Kelly was one of the bigger disappointments of all this, because you kind of have to stop listening to their music, don't you, after they get done for this sort of thing. And
I don't know if I ever listened to R. What does R. Kelly sing?
R. Kelly had some good ones. I believe I can fly. And
that was R. Kelly?
R. Kelly, yeah.
Wow.
The world's greatest. All those ones. And my mind is telling me no, but my body is telling me yes.
That's R. Kelly?
That's R. Kelly.
Oh, God, that song takes on a different meaning, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's like American Beauty after Kevin Spacey's revelations. These movies became really different. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what are we going to do?
Weird.
People be dark.
Yeah. I'm like, now American Beauty was one of my favorite movies, and now I feel weird saying that. Oh, you want to talk about the I promised some maximum level douchebag,
Yeah,
right?
I want to hear about the douchebag.
Okay, so this is the affluenza defense. Now, this one was news. This one was really news a few years ago because there's this douchebag guy called Ethan Couch, who we'll get into in a sec. But first, let me define affluenza for you. It's a painful... The more I read this, the more ridiculous it is. Painful. How is this pain? You'll get it in a second. A painful, contagious, socially transmitted condition of overload, debt, anxiety, and waste resulting from the dogged pursuit of more. Or more informally, a quasi-illness caused by guilt for one's socio-economic superiority. So essentially, that's a fancy way of saying you feel bad about being rich and privileged, so you have some sort of problems.
It's a rich dick. Rich dick.
Yeah, you're a bit of a knob because you're spoiled. Like, they say informally described as a quasi-illness caused by guilt for one's own socio-economic superiority. I say it's like you're a spoiled knobbo. So there's this real cockface called Ethan Couch. And... oh, yeah. So I note here. I wrote, that's not influenza. That's called having shit parents. So basically, it's also been used to refer to the consequences of one's actions because of a lack of understanding of the consequences of one's actions because of financial privilege. Which, I mean, is something that is kind of hard to describe, but we're all familiar with this.
Is that the concept of, I don't know, a rich person killing a person for sport? Because that's just...
No. Just, like, not being aware of the consequences of your actions.
Oh, okay.
Like, oh, it doesn't matter. I'm sure they'll be fine because I've always been fine. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let's get on to cockface, Ethan Couch. He gets drunk. He's like 16 or some shit like that. He gets drunk. This is in America. He runs over and kills 4 people and injures 11 people. He stole the beer that he got drunk on, and he was also on Valium. And I don't know, like, alcohol and Valium? Not a great combination for consciousness. Anyway, so his parents are rich. And, I mean, not like mega rich, but like rich enough to be like, let's get a good lawyer and get our kid off from murdering 4 people. So his lawyer makes this argument for affluenza. And he argues it, and the courts are like, yeah, he had affluenza. So
he got
4
off.
people. He sort of got off. He gets sentenced to rehab, spends 720 days in rehabilitation, and it's super nice. It's like one of these fancy spa-like rehabilitation places. And I don't have it here, but I vaguely remember that it was really expensive, but then it was like partially subsidized by the state.
What?
And I'm like, what's going on?
No.
It's so crazy. I'm not
wrong.
sure about that. Yeah, it's so wrong. So he gets out and he's still on parole or, whatever, like you got to be monitored after you've been through this rehab. So he's in prison he's in rehab for less than 2 years, or 720 days, about 2 years. And then he violates his parole by going to Mexico. And so he like flees to Mexico or whatever. And then he goes back and then he finally gets some jail time, but he only gets 2 years in jail.
Oh.
And then he gets released. Like, it's like, dude.
That is the ultimate douchebag, you're right.
Yeah, your affluenza is so high that you're like, you kill 4 people. You have to go to rehab. That's it. And then you flee to Mexico and you break your parole. And then you go back to jail for 2 years. And then you get released from jail again. And then you violate your parole again and you go back to jail. It's like, dude, at some point, surely you must realize there are consequences because you've been to jail like 3 times.
He's got mummy and daddy, hasn't he?
It's very strange.
Yeah, that's what's wrong with the world.
I mean, I don't like this guy at all, but I don't like his parents even more.
No, I do agree. Actually, there was a certain time in my life where I dated someone that was sort of in that circle of people that where the parents just sort of defend them on everything, on every level, because they're so financially and socially like above everyone else. And
but don't you realize that your kid is the dick?
Well, no, exactly. That's the point. Like they're terrible people at that age. And I mean, kids are terrible people as it is. Like kids. You watch little kids, and they're awful, and their parents have to discipline them to be nice. Like there was a child would find the most piercing, horrible thing they can possibly say to you, just to see what reaction it will get from you. And that's what happens in schools all over the world. And then your parents and teachers have to like drive it into kids that this is not okay. And I feel like these sort of socially affluent kids, are being sort of given favour in this, and they've been told, no, it's fine. You're right. Like you're right in this, and that's all.
Yeah, but why?
Yeah, exactly. Why? It's like at the moment you ask any teacher in the olden days, it used to, not in the olden days, but like 10, 15 years ago, it used to be, right, why is my kid failing? Your kid is failing because he's not doing his homework. Right, we'll talk about this. And like they'll speak to their kid and figure it out with their kid. Whereas now it's, why is my kid failing? It's the teacher's fault. That's it, which is an issue.
Well, that's just dumb anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, my whole thing about this is like, this is America, right? And I think this happens in Florida. And you know what they have in Florida still? Fucking death penalty.
Death penalty, yeah.
Yeah, let's just do that for old Ethan here. I'd say he deserves the death penalty.
I'm not sure how many of our listeners know, but you're a lawyer, aren't you? Or were you a lawyer?
No, I went to law school, but I'm not lying.
Did you specialise into a law?
No, didn't get that far. I just did you're British, you'll know this. Like I did a undergrad in business, and then I did the legal conversion course where you spend a year basically doing the 3 years of law in 1 year. It's pretty intense, but yeah, that's what I did.
That's a lot of reading.
And dude, it was a lot of reading and a lot of memorizing dates.
Oh, really?
Like, oh my God, dates and names, because there's so much cases that you have to remember. It was intense. Anyway, that's where I want to wrap things up today, because we're at time, and I am also hungry because I didn't have any lunch today, and it's time for me to go and have some dinner. Sam, it's been a pleasure.
Enjoy your dinner. I've had a great time.
Where can people find you online?
They can find me on both Instagram and Twitter at This Is Sam Myers.
MEYERS.
MEYERS. This is Sam Myers.
I'm at Simon Whistler, so you can say hi to me on Twitter. I have an Instagram, but I don't really use it. Do all of that good stuff. Subscribe to this podcast if you're not subscribed. Smash that like button if you're watching on YouTube. And we'll see you when we see you.
See you when we see you, people.